This morning, we're starting with a panel, and I look forward to listening to these presenters and their different perspectives. And you're going to have a variety of perspectives on inclusion, and these perspectives are going to be from an international development and social policy perspective, disadvantaged populations, Indigenous communities, looking at both curriculum development and culturally sustainable economic development. So we welcome today, and I'll just introduce them from where I see them. They're going to present as was listed with Aamir first, but I would introduce Marina Nedashkivska. Very good. I thought Marina wasn't going to come because she knew I would slaughter her last name. Also, I am a colleague with Marina's, and I know she works very hard with the population at St. Thomas that are with accessibility, access to accessibility. And so welcome, Marina. We look forward to hearing from you. Beside Marina is Aamir Jamal, and Jamal teaches at St. Thomas University as well in the School of Social Work. And his perspectives on international development and social policy. From our neighbor from the south, we welcome both husband-wife team. The wife has chosen to sit down, and she's going to prompt him with ILOCs. This is JoAnne Putnam and her husband, David Putnam, from Maine. Welcome. So I think, to no further ado, let's begin, and Aamir will be our first presenter. And Aamir?
I wonder, would I be able to put my presentation after?
Sure, yeah. Okay, so Aamir, you want to take from here?
Okay, thank you so much to the Human Rights Association, and thank you all for being here, listening, and giving me time, the opportunity to share with you my research and my thoughts about engaging men in gender justice, particularly in the girls' education sector in Afghanistan and northern Pakistan, about Pashtun tribes. So in these 20 minutes, I hope it starts just right now, right, Judy? It's not. It's okay. Yeah, if it's just 5 minutes, so you can give me a signal. So first of all, I'm hoping, but I did not time myself, but I'm hoping. I will be spending around 5 minutes in setting the context, which is a difficult part, kind of, because it's a different place and different culture. So I'll be trying that. And being a qualitative researcher, I need to tell my story. I need to bring myself just in front of all of you and share the context from where I'm coming. Then purpose of study, methodology would be very quick, and then going to the findings. Okay, so this is the Pashtun region. If you don't hear me, so please stop me, I can. So Pashtun region is, I'm calling it Pashtun region because the Pashtuns don't consider this as a border. So Pashtuns are in Afghanistan and in Pakistan, 42 million people, the world's largest tribal society, living mainly in these two countries. I belong to this part, Peshawar. My ancestors, they were Pashtuns in Afghanistan, but due to conflicts, wars, and all those kind of things, they moved to this part of Pakistan. So the green area represent Pashtuns, Pashtuns population. So a quick intro. The world's largest tribal society, freedom and independence is in their blood. They won't eat. They won't need any other facilities, but freedom and independence is the core of the Pashtun tribal culture. Strict adherence to cultural norms. Pashtunwali, I'll be talking about it in context of my research about gender justice. That Pashtunwali is a tribal code, undocumented, unwritten tribal code. Every Pashtun, when he or she is born, she knows that. What is Pashtunwali? How to live in a Pashtun culture? What are my responsibilities? What are the expectations? So all those things are defined clearly, and they know it. So another key thing to share is that this whole region, which I just earlier, this Afghanistan and Pakistan, which is bordering Central Asia and China and Iran, this region has been in the cycles of wars and conflicts and resulting into chronic underdevelopment throughout for a long, long time. Continuous wars and conflicts, proxy wars, and in the Cold War era, and then after here, even before that. So let me position myself as a researcher. Being a Pashtun man, I am a Pashtun man. I was born and raised. I spent most of my life in the Pashtun areas in Pakistan, and I witnessed all those wars and conflicts, the misery coming from those wars. I witnessed all that. That's from where I'm coming. Especially when I was a school and a college student, because we were living in the border of Afghanistan and Pakistan. So I witnessed the Afghan war in 1980s, in the Cold War era, in which the US was supporting that war. The international community was fully supporting that war to kick out Soviet from Afghanistan. So when the war started, immediately I was a college student and living on the border. The women and children, people are like flooding to my town, and I witnessed how they were standing in the bus stop, bare feet, where to go, a new country, new area. They used to live in mountains. They are now coming in Peshawar, comparatively a little plain area. And they have nowhere to go. Their husbands, their brothers are killed, are busy in the war. Women are alone, staying there, and they are abused, and they were in a miserable condition. And I witnessed many. There are many stories. Due to time limitations, I can't, if I could. So I realized that women are the first victim of conflict and war. Women would suffer the first in any war kind of situation. Even within tribes, when there is conflict within tribe, who suffer first? Women would suffer first. Two tribes are killing each other. They want to have a peace among themselves. What are they going to do? They would use women. Okay, you will take my daughter because I killed your brother. So I give you my daughter. And that is decided for peace. Just imagine what that other family would do with their daughter when she's married to an old man over there. I have seen, to be very quick and going through it, that traditions, cultural traditions are man-dominated. In the name of honor, women are suffered throughout, all the times. I have witnessed that personally. In my family, in my tribe, in our streets, in my village, throughout. People are doing their job, human rights, right? That buzzword is all over there. Women rights, women issues is all over there. What is the result? Despite all those resolutions, Millennium Development Goals and this and all that, the situation is still not improved. Why? My answer to that was that I realized, because I was involved in social work there, I realized that there is a disconnect between social realities, existing realities, and the policies we are making in our boardrooms. A significant disconnect. It doesn't go along. That's why millions of dollars are, I can use this word, millions of dollars are invested. I have seen these faces. I can just recall all these, that these women are coming for treatment to the hospital, how they are treated, how desperate they were. My friends, what we did, I was with some good fellows, with some good friends. What we did is we basically started, what we can do for those people, we started community schools. We call it Hujra schools. And we involved the community in that. We involved imams and religious leaders in that. Another thing which I would like to share is about my mother. My mother was, being a qualitative researcher, I need to bring it up. My mother was the first woman in the whole tribe who got educated. Educated doesn't mean they're PhD, it's just grade 10. She got grade 10. And it was a huge thing, big thing. And then she was the first woman in the whole tribe that she became a school teacher. And she taught for 25 years in the poor villages of the Pashtun areas. I would go with her sometimes when I was a child, and I still recall all those stories of her girls coming to her that we can't come to school anymore. I remember their faces. Why? Because our brother says it's a shame for us that my sister is going to a school. Other men would see my sister. So it's kind of, culturally, it's a shame for me that she is going to school. So girls were dropping from schools. And my mother told me, once I asked her that how you were educated. So my grandfather has a big role in her education. It's another story that what he did is he just it was a big conflict within the tribe, but he stood as a man, he stood for her. He says, these daughters are my sons. I'm going to educate them. So I was telling about Hujra schools. In 1980s, we established those schools. What we did is, as friends, that we found Hujra means a guest room. So, for example, the community has guest room where men would be separate than women. So we said, okay, here is a place, all day, nobody is here. Can you give us a room in this place? We went to the mosques in the Muslim community, the prayer place, and we asked them that all day, nobody is here. Can you give us some place? And there was a strategy behind it when we were going to the imam, to the religious leader. Religious leaders always want audience. So we asked them, yeah, you can come in the morning, and you can spend like 10 minutes, talk to whatever you want to about Quran and everything, and then, then we can have our school, our other education. So it worked so well. It was a fantastic experience for all of us. So we engaged community, we engaged imam. There was some counseling going on, which I just found the word now. At that time, we did not know that. But there was so much respect and trust from the community we gained as youngsters. Couple of people, couple of educated, and there were professors. They are coming there and spending time. Why? Because of trust and sincereness they saw, and the commitment they saw in the eyes of these young people. Because we wanted them that these people, these Afghan kids, they are in the streets. They are being abused. Why can't we bring them together and kind of give them some space, some food, and educate them? It was such a wonderful experience that we were able to establish 42 centers, and over 2,000 children were educated every year. Lesson learned. Involve the gatekeeper. Involve the imam. Involve the elders. Involve those people who has already established leadership role within the community, decision-making role within the community. Do not ignore them. We need to listen to him. We need to engage him. We need to involve him. A change from within is important. A change from the boardrooms, from United Nations, won't help. The change which is coming from the society, when I realize that I need to change, then I would change. You can't force change on me. Yeah, I will do it because I am poor and you have money. So I will do it for a couple of dollars. Yeah, of course. I would say, oh yeah, sure, great idea. I'm going to do it because I'm thinking about money you have. The big cars you drive in, right? So I'm impressed. I would do it. No, it won't help. Long term. That's why what's going on here in this region. Inclusive decision making. Listening to people. Trust building. Empathy. Looking into, going into their world. What's going on there? Realizing it. And then developing policies accordingly. Meaningful, sincere, intentions, relationship. What are my intentions? Is it just to, because they are paying me well? I'm talking about NGO workers. These are my intentions? NGO, most of you know, non-governmental organizations working in the international development sector. So are these intentions? So meaningful when we see there is a trust. So this was kind of the context I wanted to make from where I'm coming. This was kind of my story. My mom has an influence on me. My life, all those stories in that region, that part, and looking and witnessing the misery of women and girls especially, that has an impact on my story and on my research. What is the aim of my research? So I'm just taking a small piece for this paper. There are so many things, but I realized, I thought about it, what I can do. Let me just take a small piece. My supervisor used to say to me, Aamir, you are not going to change the world by your PhD. So just take a small thing. And this small piece, I realized, is the most critical important is girls' education. If you educated a girl, you educated a nation. That's what I realized. So this small piece I'm taking, and I realized that there is more focus in research on the supply side, making more schools, making more roads. Schools are made and then schools are bombed. Then more schools are made. Millions of dollars are spent all over the places. Okay, money, facilities, those big shiny textbooks all over the place. They don't have food to eat, but they have a shiny textbook in their hands. Right? Focus is on supply side in the research and in practice. The demand side is not there. Schools is beautiful, nice classroom, right? Everything is there. I'm not sending my daughter to school. So I'm thinking, what are you going to do with her? You're going to westernize her. I'm not going to send my daughter to school. You make schools. You bring all those books. And so this was the research gap. Another research gap is on gender justice. All the research has been done, not all, I'm sorry. A majority has been done by women and engaging women. It's a little sensitive thing because in some conferences, some people really argue with me on this topic. By engaging women and by women, it's not effectively working. Why? The gatekeeper. You like it or you don't like it. There is a gatekeeper. If the gatekeeper is not opening the door, how are you going to get in? And this is the social realities of the culture which we need to understand. And I personally seen the backlash in the villages when girls were coming and family planning and talking to girls and women and all that, and the husbands came back in the evening from work, and the wife is telling him that, oh, today a girl come, a nice girl, and she was telling me this. How dare she is talking about my private issues? How many kids I have? How dare she is talking about it? And backlash, an announcement in the mosque, and ban those girls, and all those kind of things. Anyway, my focus is then Pashtun men. I'm not talking to women about women issues. I'm not researching girls, asking from them what you want. No, I'm not doing it. I'm only talking to men about women. I'm talking to father about daughters, because I believe that they are the gatekeeper, and I need to speak to them. And to identify what are the barriers, talking to men, to the father. And what is your perception about girls' education? And how to overcome those barriers through participation of the gatekeeper, of this man. My questions are, how do Pashtun men perceive the role and significance of girls' education? I was twice in the region, despite my university was kind of a little concerned. I was twice in the region. I was talking to men. I'm just back, like it's just kind of, I think, first presentation after my findings. So I interviewed men, and I'm asking from them, what is your perception? What are the factors? Restriction, education, and as NGO, non-governmental organizations who are working there, who are being funded, they are the key players. I'm asking about them. What do you think about NGOs? And then after that, how we can overcome. Research, qualitative research, using Delphi method, qualitative, going into the inner, deeper level. That's what qualitative research supposed to be. I may not have graphs. I may not have big numbers and statistics, but I have deep-rooted issues within the community which can't be represented by graphs and big numbers and statistics. In-depth qualitative interviews. I develop a jargon, which we call it here focus group. They call it their jargon. It is already established institution of Pashtunwali, which is men are sitting together and making decisions about their socio-economic issues, political issues. Men are sitting together. Why not engage men? Let's sit together and use this institution on gender justice issues. So my jargon, my participants are fathers, political leaders, NGO workers, decision makers, people who are creating barriers to girls' education, village leaders, local scholars, NGO workers, jargon. Jargon means Council of Elders of Pashtun tribe. It's an institution within the Pashtun. This is kind of, they sit together. They make decisions. And those decisions are really, it's much stronger than the decision of our Supreme Court. Because it's very important to follow, to adhere to those decisions. Otherwise, the consequences are really, really bad. So everybody follows it. So, okay, these are my findings. Major, I will be talking about perception, barriers to girls' education, and NGOs and overcoming. Those three things I am selecting now because of time limitations. So just try to be quick. Barriers. Number one barrier, which I chose, there are many, but I chose for this presentation, main key barriers. Pashtunwali is a Pashtun tribal code where the status of women is not equivalent to men. It's not gender equal. She is not a preferred gender. I remember when one of my cousins she was born. She's now a big girl, having kids. When she was born, a little daughter, she was the third daughter. And I was a kid, and I saw my grandma, she was crying. She was crying on the birth of a baby. Oh, unfortunately, my son again have a daughter, again a daughter. Uh-oh. So think about the woman who is lying on the bed. She just gave a birth to a baby. And everybody is coming to say, oh, I'm sorry. You have again a daughter. The life is a continuous journey of discrimination. Obedience and loyalty is woman, is part of it. This is the image of a woman. She has been taught that man men would be dominant. Men could get angry, your husband, but that's okay. He's a man. He can get angry. He might beat you. No, but he's your husband, right? You won't tell anyone, right? So this is kind of, she has been taught about it. There is a common proverb for that for women, either kur or gur. Kur means a home or gur means a grave. Two places, okay? You'll be home or grave. This is a very, I'm talking about right now, 21st century. I'm not talking about 18th century. This is right now the situation. Men and family honor is critical. I am due to every time. If there is something about honor, men honor, family honor, it will go to who? Women. Oh, you don't do this, it's men honor. Don't go out, men honor. Cover your face, men honor. Right? Don't go to school, men honor. It's about men. Religion, all those things about gender is interpreted by men. To dominate who? Men. Although, oh, this is once said by, this is in Quran, this is about who? About women. To dominate her, to keep her loyal, obedient. Everything is about men honor. Pehor is a very common thing in Pashtunwali. Pashtunwali is, if I didn't explain, Pashtunwali is a Pashtun way of life. Pashtun tribal code. There are different areas in that, which is understood by every Pashtun. It is not written anywhere, but it is known. It is known. It's stronger than a written document. Pehor is shame for a man to do women's work. Pehor. We don't have time that much. Once, cooking water, firewood is women's job. If a man is doing it, come on, you are a man. Once when we were married, so my wife, she was in a kitchen. So I was kind of somehow a little contrasting to my tribal values. So early in the morning, I saw nobody is there, but my wife is in the kitchen making breakfast. So I kind of trying to be a romantic guy, I went inside the kitchen and stand with my wife and say, okay, let me just cut some tomatoes for you to make omelette and all that. And I was kind of little looking, nobody's watching me. And then somehow it was such an unfortunate thing for me. My dad, who will never pass by that area in the house, because he's a man, he passed by and he saw me. You are in the kitchen? Oh my God, he really swore at me. And it was a terrible experience. And then I just, no, I was just here for a water and I ran out from the kitchen. And it didn't stop there. Whenever he's sitting with my brothers and my friends, you see, my father would say, other day in the morning, I saw this guy in the kitchen. And everybody would laugh. So they call it khuzonak. Khuzonak means girly guy. A guy who works like, I don't know if I can explain it. Kind of, what's the good name? Girly kind of guy who is doing girls' work and all that, like. So there is clear distribution of work. This is just one of the quote, that in our area, most of the girls will study up to class 5 and then after that, even if you can afford it, you won't send your daughter to school because of that Pashtunwali. One key piece, a small one, that within Pashtunwali, when a woman becomes a mother, especially a mother of sons, oh my God, she is very strong. She is very strong. And Cindy is also very strong. She's telling me only 5 minutes left. She participates in the tribal affairs. A woman I remember about my grandma. She was a powerful lady. And my father would come whenever he goes outside to the village, he would put his head in her feet. And then she would bless him and then she would go. We were not allowed to say even he said, you can't even do like this, like angry face to my mom. He would cut her nails and wash her head. And when she was very old, he would chew meat, I still remember, in his teeth and give it to her mom and taking care of her like a doll, believe me. But mom is, no, there is no, like comparison. Early marriage is another thing, a key thing, okay? So I will just be quick. Economic factor, if I educated, if girls are educated, she may claim her rights, right? She would be able to ask questions. No. Don't educate her. Girls are for farming. You will see, if you've been there, David, and some of you, that you will see so many girls. Their job is this, taking this heavy guy, like that child, throughout in the streets, and the boys will go to school. These kind of, so many places, all over the places. So if there are financial constraints, you won't send you, because there is no return because of early marriage. There is no return on investment, right? Religion is an integral part of Pashtun culture, and parda is another key barrier, constraint. It's not hijab, it's parda. There is a difference. Hijab means you can have your face up, but you just cover your hair. That's it, that's hijab. But in Pashtun culture, it says parda is just covering the whole thing. We used to call it shuttlecock, that kind of thing they would have. I don't know if I have a picture of it. So religious extremism is another key area that supported men domination. And basically Taliban and extremism and all those wars and conflict didn't help women at all. Because, let me just, to be very short, in the Cold War era, extreme Islam was promoted, supported by international community in that region. For what? To make jihadis so they can fight back Soviet Union. That jihadis, Soviet Union were defeated, but that jihadis still stay there, right? Thousands of them, trained by international community. And you know what I mean by international community. By Saudis. Saudis infiltrated that radical Islam within that part, within that region. So they did it, but then now the region is bearing the fruit. So the spread of an interpretation of Islam by Saudis for a purpose, for a political purpose. And in that, because that region was not that bad. Islam has nothing to do with my outside life. Before, when I was a child, Imam was just a guy in the mosque, and this is Islam, and then I have my other stuff. That Imam is now the key player in political framework after 1980s. Before that, it was not. It was not. It was not that radical. So then I spoke to the guys, okay, that what do you think about girls' education? So some of the guys, religious leaders, they were sending their daughter to school. They would say that Prophet Muhammad, he said this is a Prophet Muhammad saying, that if you send your daughter, if you take care of your daughter, you will be with me in paradise like this. And this Islam says about education, all that. So then I asked them a question, a tough question. I say, okay, when you say that Islam supports girls' education and you are a religious leader, why you don't speak up? Speak out to the people. That no, these Taliban are wrong, ignorant about Islam. Islam supports equal treatment of girls and education. Why don't you say it loud? That's their radical interpretation, which is wrong. They say to me, my friend, this is one quote, you are living in Canada, a peaceful place, that is why you are talking like this, probing about such sensitive issues. Here, living in the middle of militants and talking about women issues and girls' education is a different story. And they give me examples, and I know some of those people who were killed by this because they spoke up. So fear and insecurity is another barrier to girls' education. Lack of political will, I want to be just a little kind of boom going through it because time constraint. Perception of NGO is not good. people who are working here, they are having a foreign agenda. They are representing occupying power, right? And they want to influence our kids, our children, against our values. Then I spoke about an ideal NGO, but let me just go quick to key recommendations. We can cover some of this in question answer. Create awareness, educate, and involve Masharan. Masharan means village elders. When you go, there are village elders, there are Masharan. Engage imam, religious leader. Give traditional respect and role for them. There is a role, and there is a way to talk to them, how you talk to them, right? So you need to follow their social hierarchies to begin with. You can't go with your values and just, no. Many women for girls' education, they were sent back. Why? The way they were dressed up in that village when they came. No, it's not the way. Nobody liked it. And they do not want to let their daughters and wives sit with you even. Establish masjid schools instead of spending millions and big, like construction and all those kind of things. Small schools within community, so there is good accessibility. There was a food supplementation program to help their daughters because poverty is there. There were some stories about that. One of the headmasters, he told me, he was headmaster, he said they would give an oil can to family who is sending their daughter to school in one of the area. So when they were graduating, many parents came to me and they said, can you fail my daughter? Why? So she stay in school, so I continue receiving that can of oil. So there are many things which can be helpful. Respond to local needs and religious cultural sensitivities, right? Number of and safety of girls' schools. Female teacher is a big issue. In Pushtunwali, I will never send a daughter to school unless there is a female teacher. And if I'm not sending a daughter to school, from where we are getting female teacher? It's kind of a vicious cycle. Political will is critically important. It's a story, but if I get a chance later, I can share it, that story in the question answer, because I don't have to. So engaging men is critical, and establishing trust through long-term commitment. And finally, the last thing I want to share is that I started from here when I was doing research, and there were some security issues, so I was not able to go back 2 years back. So I said, okay, let me just try it out. And I initiated a project in which I engaged only men for girls' education, and that project is a big success right now. So there are many little girls in the Pashtun area which they are going to school and they are being sponsored and helped and supported by men. So that was kind of, so the hope is there.